For Avatar fans, properly returning to Pandora usually involves movie tickets and 3D glasses or a trip to a theme park, but that's about to change big time. Here to tell me all about Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora, Associate Game Director Drew Rechner. Drew, welcome.
Hey, thank you.
We are accustomed to seeing big, huge, massive, sprawling Ubisoft open-world action-adventure games. Can you tell me a little bit about what makes Frontiers of Pandora more than just Far Cry with blue cats?
Absolutely. So I think there's really three things to remember with Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. So number one, it's set in the world of Avatar, but it's a brand new expansion of the lore and a standalone story on Pandora, western frontiers, new continent, new biomes to explore. We've got the stuff that's familiar to Avatar fans with the King Lore Forest. We've got the Upper Plains, brand new. We've got the Clouded Forest, so brand new places to explore. Number two, Banshee Companion. It's personally like one of my favorite kind of things to do in the game is to fly around on, not only is it your friend and you can customize it, you can make it yours, but it's like a whole new perspective on the world. You can fight on it, you can soar through the skies, it's thrilling. And number three, like you are a 3-meter tall Na'vi. You're playing not as an avatar, but actually an inhabitant of Pandora. You tower over these tiny little humans, the RDA, right? And so we really could lean into that kind of asymmetrical gameplay.
Let's talk about who you play as, because you play as a Na'vi who's raised by humans. Let's talk about character customization, sort of the role-playing side of it. How much control over who you are do players have?
Yeah, so like I said, like you play as a Na'vi and you can customize your Na'vi, right? Like you can do the normal kind of character creation things. You can choose how you want to look, but there's also customization in terms of the visuals. There's a crafting component to the game, and there's a really strong visual component to that as well. So you can really craft your Na'vi to make it look like someone that you identify and want to be with.
Something the Na'vi do is they have a lot of respect for nature. And in a lot of video games, you just kill stuff because you need new ammo straps or like a bigger inventory. How do you sort of find that compromise? Like how do you respect Awa?
We really had kind of two things that we really kept in mind. Like one is quality over quantity. We wanted to make sure that you weren't just grabbing and kind of taking everything from nature, but you were kind of living in balance. Right, and and then number two, it's really about your power coming from nature, right? Because you are connected to nature through Awa. So we really wanted to ensure that like the progression systems and things of that nature really had this connection to nature. So whether it be harvesting or connecting to these tarsu flowers, to connect to your ancestors and getting their knowledge and progressing and getting new skills that way.
We see a lot of amp suits in the trailer. Do they come in Na'vi sizes? Like we're going to use some human technology, but
yeah. So we have the soldiers, right? And then you have the amps, and the amps are kind of formidable opponents. I mean, as a Na'vi, you're super strong. You're 3 meters tall, 10 feet tall for the imperialists out there. And in the amps, they match you in size and strength. And so they're using, these kind of big guns. But the cool thing is, you are actually raised by humans. So not only are you using Na'vi weaponry in the game, but you have a knowledge of using the human weapons against them, right? These loud, destructive weapons. So you're kind of in this unique position to use both those tool sets.
You can use Na'vi stuff, you can use human stuff. In the most recent movie, Jake Sully kind of customizes his machine gun to have like sort of a Na'vi bit of a twist to it. Is there any kind of weapon customization, anything like that?
Yeah, so there's visual customization, but there's also upgrading your weapons, and in both ways, right? We can change the appearance of your weapons to really make them yours. And there's the kind of stats component or the progression component to them, but there's also an additional layer to ensure that you can make your assault rifle, your bow, like all of those things kind of look like how you want to make them look.
Now, sort of James Cameron is infamous for having a very particular way he wants things done. How much oversight has he had on this, and has he swooped in at any point and been like, that's not how space pterodactyls work?
So one of the really cool things about working on this project is we've had such a close collaboration with the teams at Lightstorm and Disney. And so we had direct access to the actual people working on the films, right? And we had a pretty free flow exchange of ideas. And so, sometimes ideas would come from them. We would tell them about the game and what we were thinking, and they would say, oh, actually, we had this idea, and you get ideas right from the creators themselves. And then, we had lots of expansion from the existing kind of content that exists, and they would kind of help us shape that to really fit, because we're expanding the lore, so they have a very vested interest in that. So it was a really really a nice collaboration, and all these like detailed components.
Now, Drew, the next Avatar movie is still a ways off. When can I play the game to hold me over till then?
December 7, 2023.
Sweet, and it's
this year.
It's current gen only.
So it's new gen.
New gen.
So PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PC, Amazon Luna.
Wonderful. Looking forward to it. Now, of all the games that could be well suited to like a live service model, I feel like Avatar makes a lot of sense because there's a movie coming out basically every 2 years for pretty much the rest of the decade. Can you talk about sort of the decision to make this a like standalone single player experience, and if you're able to talk about it, what the plans are post-launch?
Yeah, so we really wanted to create a brand new story. So new characters, right? But we wanted to tap into the familiarity with the universe. So we reference some of the events that happen in the first and second films. And I think if you're a fan, you might notice some other references as well. But we really wanted to stand on its own. And it's really such a personal journey of growth, of becoming, someone who is raised by humans, taken away from your family. And it's about self-discovery. And I think that fits the action-adventure, model so well. And then in post-launch, we do have 2 DLCs lined up that we'll have more information on. And that will be an expansion of the story.
Nice. That said, this is canon. This exists in the same universe. But are we going to see any crossover with characters from the movie?
We do reference a couple things, but the characters will not be in the film. We have a brand new cast of characters.
Okay, that's actually, that's a relief. I feel like we often see sort of just like familiar stuff shoehorned in there. It's it's a whole new frontier. Can you speak a little bit about sort of the new biomes and just sort of I guess how they stand out from what we've seen in the 2 films?
Absolutely. So we have the most familiar kind of for Avatar 1 and 2 fans. We have the Kinglor Forest, which is, kind of akin to a rainforest, right? So that'll look immediately familiar to most. We did expand on some of the flora and fauna. But then we have 2 brand new regions. And so the first is the Upper Plains, and it's like sprawling, long sight lines, looks entirely different than, that really dense rainforest. Gameplay-wise, long range, long view sights, of course, right? Like you have a lot of interesting opportunities, right? If you're a sniper, all of a sudden, great. This is where I'm going to use my heavy bow a lot more, right? As a banshee, when you're riding your banshee, you have amazing sight lines. You can see really far, and we have brand new gameplay opportunities there that you can only do there because we have these giant wind gusts, and we could really lean into that mechanic. And then the third region that we have is the Clouded Forest, and that's, it's dense, it's foggy, it's kind of shrouded in mystery. I don't want to spoil any story, so I won't say too much more, but it's kind of a physical representation of that. And it's more akin to like a temperate forest. So you have like giant, kind of like trees that create lots of shade, and there's like kind of fungal growth and like all sorts of interesting animals and plants that have evolved to live in that environment.
Nice. Awesome. Drew, thank you so much. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora hits Xbox Series, PS5, and PC on December 7th, and between now and then, we'll have plenty more updates on IGN.